All right, so today's topic is flexible dieting, also known as IIFYM, or if it fits your macros. Um, this is a subject that's going to it gets a lot of hate in the fitness community. And IIFYM is seen as standing in opposition to the other dominant dietary protocol we have in place right now, which is clean eating. And clean eating, basically tells us that there are certain foods that are good for us and certain foods that are bad for us. And, being healthy is about eating those good foods and avoiding those bad foods. The problem with that is that a lot of those distinctions between what makes good and bad, it's very arbitrary. Like people will be like, oh, well, like I heard protein powder is processed, so that's bad. But it's also got protein in it, so that's good. And then, basically the list goes on. And so, it can be kind of impossible to figure out, what's actually healthy and what's not. And, to add to that list that a lot of people don't a lot of these people who do support the idea of clean eating don't really agree on things. So, some people will say, well, blueberries are good, strawberries are good, fruit's great. And then other people will say, well, fruit's got sugar in it, and sugar is the devil, so you shouldn't eat it. So the problem with that is that we don't really have, diet is a very, very, very complex thing. And to sort of reduce it to those very sort of simple terms in which, certain foods are good and certain foods are bad, that doesn't really, capture the complexity of things. Further, general health as, a very ambiguous, uncertain concept aside, clean eating doesn't really do anything to recommend, macros or, diet, any kind of dietary, it doesn't really say, you have to eat a certain number of calories to maintain your weight or what you need to do to lose weight or gain weight. And that can be a problem because a lot of people will, then clean eat, but they'll eat the exact same amount of calories that they were eating before, and so they won't lose any weight. And they'll be like, well, I ate clean, I don't understand what's going on. And so in the fitness community, we used to have, and even, those those sort of words were actually applied to so many other things too. We have clean bulking and dirty bulking, stuff like that. And basically, IIFYM is a very different approach, which says that you can eat whatever you want so long as it fits into your macros. And your macros being your macronutrients. So you need to eat a certain number of protein, grams, a certain number of fat grams, and a certain number of carbohydrate grams per day. And based on that, you get your total, calorie count and all that. And, and these numbers are calculated based on some, vaguely scientific stuff. Like, for example, you're supposed to eat a certain number of grams of protein per day based on your body weight. Most people will tell you between 0.8 and 1 gram per day of protein per pound of body weight, which, for most people, is 150 to 200 grams of protein or so for guys. And that's, that's fine. That's a healthy number. That's about how much protein we should be getting. And then, there's some quibbling over how much fat you should get and how many carbs you should get out of the remainder. But in general, IIFYM sort of says, you eat this amount of protein, this amount of fat, this amount of carbs. And the main criticism against it, of course, is that, well, then, we can just throw that all out the window. So we're just going to, eat Pop-Tarts, and we'll eat Pop-Tarts for our carbs. We'll drink oil for our fat, and then we'll just eat some really lean protein for our protein. Or just drink protein shakes, and that'll be my meals every day. That, of course, is not the point of IIFYM. The point of IIFYM is to give yourself more flexibility and to actually allow you to eat foods that you want to eat while at the same time staying within some sort of dietary guidelines that will enforce an overall health, that will actually, get you consuming the right amount of calories and not consuming, all of your calories from carbs, per day or whatever. And it does, and that in those terms, it does work. People who are dumb IIFYMers might do something like that, where they, eat, nothing but Pop-Tarts for their carbs. But you have to understand that that's not the point of the system. And further, most intelligent IIFYMers will also recommend that you eat fiber. That's an important thing about, it's an important thing in anyone's diet. So, the smart IIFYMers will say, okay, well, you also need a certain amount of fiber per, total calories per day. It's like a certain amount of fiber per like 1,000 per like 1,000 calories or something like that. So basically, that's that's important because obviously fiber is a very important nutrient that comes from your vegetables, that comes from your fruits, beans, stuff like that. So like good IIFYM will add fiber as well on the list of things that you need to aim for. And there's a lot of debate about which one is better. And the problem that most people do not, the thing that most people don't realize is that they are literally the exact same. They're literally the exact same thing. We're talking about two different ways of approaching the same problem, but ultimately it's the same problem and the solution looks the same no matter which approach you take. The point of both diets is to try and get you to consume a diet that has a good amount of protein, lots of like fiber, like healthier carbs. Healthy carbs being sort of a misnomer, but carbs that aren't entirely from high fructose corn syrup. A little bit a healthy amount of fat, which you can get from avocados or oils or nuts, whatever. And then there's supposed to be enough flexibility to allow you to sort of eat what you want in addition to this sort of stuff. So clean eating will people will do something where I'm eating clean 6 days a week, but then I have a binge day or a cheat day on my 7th day of the week. The idea is that that's literally the same amount of that cheating is the exact same thing that you do with IIFYM, except it's spread throughout the rest of the week, so that you can eat a little bit of crap every day instead of a lot of crap all on one day. And the thing that you have to understand is that these are literally the same thing. Both of these diets are really trying to get you to eat the same things in the end. So, yeah, you can shit all over clean eating if you're an IIFYMer. Yeah, you can shit all over IIFYM if you're a clean eater. It doesn't matter. We're talking about the same thing here. And IIFYM in general has also sort of pointed out that, yes, we can consume sugar. Yes, we can consume high fructose corn syrup. These things are not the devil. Certainly eating a ton of them will be a problem. But, in moderation, it's okay. Basically, if you, search Alan Aragon's thing about fructose, he, makes a point of pointing out that, people could consume, on average, 50 to 100 grams of fructose per day, and it wouldn't be a health problem, short or long term. That's it. There's no problem there. That's between 200 and 400 calories. That is multiple, a 12-ounce can of soda contains about 200 calories. So that's saying you could have a can or two of soda per day, every day of the week, and it wouldn't be a problem. And that's true. I mean, yes, you can consume sugar in moderation, and the problem is that, of course, people who are clean eaters are going to shit all over that, saying, oh, well, you can't have any sugar at all, it's the devil. And, IIFYMers are going to, probably consume more than that because they're like, oh, well, I get, however many carbs I want today. I get 500 carbs today, so I'm going to put 400 of it in soda pop. That's not the smart way to do things, A smart diet is, primarily concerned with whole foods, good amount of protein, not too many carbs from your crappy sugary stuff, and it still allows the flexibility to eat what you want and cheat every now and then. And people say 90% good stuff, 10% bad stuff, or 80% good stuff, 20% bad stuff, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that you should much more of the time than you are then you're eating bad stuff, you should be eating good stuff. And I could say, you could literally go down as 65-35, and that'd probably still be healthy. It's really not an issue, so long as A, you're keeping your overall calories in check, and B, you're getting, a decent amount of exercise. So, that's really all there is to it. IIFYM, clean eating, they're really sort of the same thing in the end. They're just both different ways to do it. So, as always, like the video, rate the video, comment the video, call me an idiot, tell me what you want to see next. Let me know. Bye-bye.